Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to be preparing for cold weather. It's 32 degrees right now, and this is as high as it's supposed to get today. And they predicting for the next 4 or 5 days to be in the teens at night. We might get some sleet and ice. So I just wanted to show how us country folk prepare for these type situations and some things we had to get done on the homestead. Thought I'd just bring y'all along. One of the first things I do, which I'd already done a week or so ago when I seen the weather forecast coming up, is I made sure my propane was topped off. Because that's our heat source when the electricity goes out. After that, I'd have to turn the wood. And I really don't want to turn to burning no wood myself because I'm kind of allergic to the smoke. But anyway, you make sure your propane tanks is topped off when you see a little hardship coming. There's my water line going out to my garden, and then my chicken and rabbit pen. I got a cut-off valve, and I go on and cut that off because I know it's going to freeze. So I go on and cut it off. That way, if it freezes and when it thaws, it's got a leak. I already have this cut off, still have water to my house. After I got this valve cut off, I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna wrap that outside spigot over in the garden area. You can see this is my outside spigot out here in the garden and chicken pen, rabbit pen area. And it's inside a pipe where it comes out of the ground and insulated with just pipe insulation. But when it's gonna get this cold, I like to come out and I go on and undo my hose or anything else I have connected to it. That way the hose can drain as much water as possible. It'll drain. That way it won't freeze and bust my hose. But if you got insulation, you can use hay. We have cleaning, and when my wife cleans out closets and stuff, I keep a lot of the rags and stuff, the shirts, and having a shed for rags. This here is just a pair of old jogging pants, sweat pants. So I'm gonna wrap it first with this. Cause this pipe still, even though I cut that valve off, it's still full of water. I know that valve there and let a little of the pressure off, but it's still full of water. I leave my valve open, that way if it freezes, when the water freezes it expands. So instead of busting my pipe, a lot of times it'll just push out the end and won't bust your pipe. That's why I always leave it, cut it off and leave it open. But I like wrapping it good, best I can. Like I said, you can use hay bale, insulation. This here's always seemed to do the trick for me. Then I'll take plastic. Wrap it with this plastic, that way that whatever you wrap your pipe with won't get wet. Just make sure when I wrap it in my plastic, I get it layered to where when the water, water hits it, it can't run into it. Then I take some of this. Don't know what this tape's actually called. It's used like for shipping boxes and stuff, A4 boxes. Don't even know where I got it from. I just had several rolls of it. But I wrapped that up good so the wind can't blow it off. And rain can't get in there and get that wet. Anything in the garden, which I'd already done, my strawberries, which I've had them covered up. So we've had several nights off and on down in the frost, and I've had them covered up. And at this time, the only thing I got in the garden really is my onions and some of them herbs. But I ain't even gonna cover them herbs. I really hadn't expected them to make it to this point. So if they make it through, they gonna make it through. There's some dill and but there's that dill and cilantro. You can see frost is already done stunted it. So I ain't worrying about covering it. It don't make it, I plant new this spring, start over. There's thyme, garlic chives, some oregano, some more garlic chives, some parsley. That's 2 different kinds of parsley growing there, and then 2 or 3 different kinds of oregano. But like I said, I ain't worried about that stuff. It's done been out. It's done got frosted on, and probably gonna be replanting it anyway. But then I come to my chicken pen. But I've already unhooked my self-watering system because of in the wintertime, the nights that it freeze, I don't do that. What I have inside here for my chickens is one of these heated water bowls. And it only kicks on when the temperature gets below freezing. And the nights we have had below freezing, it worked. Then I installed a heat lamp up there. Which now that it's finna get in the teens, I'm gonna change out the bulb and put a 250 watt heat lamp in there. Went on and put some old tin up for wind block. Help block the wind around my little chicken coop. I usually leave the bottom area open for ventilation, but cold as it's gonna be, I closed it up. One of the things we gotta do is come out every morning and keep the ice broke for our animals. Delta here trying to drink water and it was froze this morning already. Guys, I had to come in the shop here. My hands has got cold. When my daughter was a baby just learning how to talk, her hands is cold one day. That's what she said, my hands is cold, my hands is cold. But anyway, I had to come in here and warm my hands. But while I'm in the shop, I can show y'all some other things I do to prepare. I get all my battery operated tools. I got some lights here that runs off of these rechargeable batteries. I go on and charge all my batteries up, make sure they fully charged. I check out my power plants. I go check my fuel supply. I got a gasoline tank out in my shop area, tractor shed area. I make sure that's topped off, which I done that the other day when I done the propane. I'll go on and crank my generators today. I check my water supply. I got 5 cases of water over here. But this is all just prepared. Down here in the south, we got snow the other day, one day, and it melted. But normally when it gets like this, if it comes that sleet and rain and it freezes on them power lines, our power lines all break. And I have had to go up to 2 weeks before they got our power lines fixed, because they start in town fixing power lines first for all your stores and businesses, and then they work their way to the country. So I have had to go up right at 2 weeks one time. So that's why I'm just showing y'all some ways to prepare. Of course, being country folk like we are, we always got the food in the freezer and the canned food and jarred. That's why it wasn't really no panic for us during this COVID in 2020, when you couldn't just run to the store and get anything. We knew we was gonna be all right for a little while. And that, folks, is something that I'm trying to teach in these videos on raising your own food. And I'm going to be showing some canning. And I know there's other videos out there, but I like doing it. Kind of enjoy doing this since I'm home. But I'm going to start getting my batteries charged. And then I'll go back out there and I'll show you a little more about. I got an outside sink, what I do there. So the next thing I do is my water out here under my little cooking area with my sink. Well, the first thing I do before I turn this water off is my little outside pot right here. I make me a fresh pot of coffee. Then I get down here and I turn both water off to that sink and to my shed. It goes inside my shed to a sink. But I got this. You always wanted to undo this one. I undo one hose and I open that valve. Then I open the valve on my sink here, and you can see that water. It drains the water out going to that sink so it won't freeze in that line. How y'all like that little water kettle? My water kettle faucet on my outside sink. Ain't that kind of snazzy? But anyway, I drain that hose and I'm finna wrap this up. And I got another valve right on the other side of that black iron pot that I'm gonna open to drain the water out from my shed, from that sink. So any outside spigots that you have, they need to be wrapped, covered, something put over them for water, keep the rain out, but this is under a top, so I ain't gotta worry about it getting wet. But I just wrap them up with some good towels, old rags. Knock on wood, I ain't never had this one to freeze. Then I got a little old metal lid off on old barbecue pit I just set over that way the wind can't blow my rags and wrapping away. Always, if you got some on any water hose, just go and take them off. That way, as your water freezes, it'll push your air out the end and won't bust your ends on your hoses. I think it's time to go back in that shed and warm my Hainses again. This southern boy here ain't cut out for that cold. Another thing I do, guys, is I refresh my memory where I have stuff stored. For example, like this light, I don't have to run it off them little bottles. I have a fitting that I can connect this to a 5-gallon propane bottle. Our house is totally electric. except for our heat, which we have electric heat, a heat pump. For our propane tank, I have a infrared heater I'd put in there. So that's why I have this stuff. Got a little butane stove top, so our electricity goes off, we set that in there. We cook on it. I have another stove top for bigger pots. That there's made out of a propane hot water heater that went bad. And this is simple to make, guys. If y'all ever have a propane water heater goes bad, this whole thing just unbolts from the bottom. And all you gotta do is get you some kind of string. You can see where I took that banded metal, took my little wire welder and welded it on there. And I had to get me a fitting that would make it screw straight on to my propane hose. That makes a nice burner. But I check my 5-gallon bottles. I make sure all my propane bottles are full. I don't want to be out there in the freezing ice trying to fill them up, which I've already done that a few weeks ago. I prepare way ahead of time. I'm just showing y'all a little bit of what I do and have done. Like I said, make sure you got water, make sure you got plenty of food, make sure your cars is full of gasoline. You never know, emergency might pop up and you have to try to make it to the hospital or something. You don't want to have to be trying to get to the store and the roads is already bad, iced up. Another reason, guys, you want to make sure them vehicles is full of fuel. And not only just full of fuel, I keep one of these little propane heaters, hand heaters in my vehicle. You want to keep plenty of clothes in your vehicle. You want to keep you some water in your vehicle. And maybe throw you a little can of Annie Weenies or Beanie Weenies and crackers in there. Especially for you folks lives up north. Now I know a lot of you lives up there knows this, but a lot of the younger ones, I'm just giving tips here. You out on the road and it's icy and snow, and you get stuck, slide off into a ditch. But a lot of these roads, it ain't no traffic on. So, and a lot of these country roads, you ain't got no cell service on to use your little cell phone. That's what you're gonna depend on. But you might sit out there for hours. If your vehicle ain't full of gas, if it didn't get damaged when you hit the ditch, you can sit there with your truck running and stay warm a while if you got a tank full of gasoline. The backup for that is, if it ain't, that's why I have one of them little propane. I'll show it to you. Runs off that same little propane bottle, but it's a little heater. Little propane heater just like that, runs off one of them little bottles. Now I use these, I got several of them I use in deer stands, and camping and stuff. But one of them little bottles in your vehicle, I run consistently about 6 hours. But if you out there stranded, you wouldn't want to run it, turn it on and leave it. You want to turn it on, get yourself warmed up and turn it back off. But if this ain't gonna do you no good if you ain't got no matches or a cigarette lighter in your vehicle to light it. So when you put this in your truck, put your little lighter down in there with it. So you'll have something to light it with. Because guys, you never know. I'm one of them people that prepares for the worst and prays for the best. You can make heaters This right here, and I know even y'all city folk buy them little portable propane barbecue pits. If you cook very much, they don't last that long because the little burner burns out or the little housing burns out and you just chunk them. But these little butane vials where you hook these bottles, that's what this is. And all I did, and you ain't really got to weld that to do this. You take a piece of metal pipe and slip right down over it, which I tack weld mine with a welder. And then on top, I just set a bolt down in there, which I tack weld mine so it wouldn't fall out when I'm going hunting. But you can just set a bolt down through there. And what happens is, that gas comes out around the edge of that bolt. And look at that. You can sit there and warm your hands, whether you in a deer stand or just need your hands warmed in the truck. You can turn it down real low. And this is the one I take hunting because it don't put off no noise. For these kind you buy, not that. So where these kind you buy in a deer stand, they sit there and go. This right here sitting down on the floor between your legs or on the ground, don't make no noise. You turn it down, just have your little flame sitting there keeping your hands warm. That's why I don't throw away. I don't throw away much of nothing. Cause you can make stuff out of anything. But that's one of the best heaters I ever had, much less bought from the store. Just thought I'd show y'all that in this video. You can get creative. Flashlights. Make sure you got your flashlights, got some good batteries in them. Got some extra batteries in your house. We keep a flashlight in every vehicle at all times. Flashlights. This is some of the best little lights a man can have. Get them at Walmart and you go down their tool aisles where this is hanging. But it is bright. That little light, that'll bright up a whole room. Bright. Punch the button and punch it again, it's got a light on the end, you can use it, tote it like a little flashlight. When you don't need that bright of a light. You got a little clip that folds down. You can hang it up somewhere, like in this shed here, I can hang it right there. Just leave it hanging, I got my light. If I need to come out here and shed, it ain't got no electricity. It's got a magnet on the back. You just stick it. You in your house, in your kitchen, have one stuck on your ice box. All you gotta do is walk by there and push the button. You got a light in your kitchen then. But these little lights here are less than $3. LED lights, so they run a long time on 3 AAA batteries. That's one thing I watch out for when I buy stuff that runs off batteries. I don't want me nothing that runs off them little round flat batteries that you about got to get online to order because you can't find the right battery for them. I want something that runs off of AAA batteries, AA batteries, C batteries, D batteries, stuff like that. I want the easiness and convenience of getting. But them are some good little lights. Keep one in your vehicle. Speaking about the vehicles, you ought to keep some extra socks in there for your feet. I usually keep me an extra pair of boots because I get out, you can run off in the ditch and you get out looking, trying to see if you can get yourself out, and then you end up getting your feet wet. You gotta think ahead, guys. All about survival. Survival and being self-sufficient. Y'all can see right out here, I'm at my tractor shed. I got a tank right here that's holds 25 gallons of gasoline, and then I got 3 or 4 of these 5-gallon jugs, and I keep them full. Them power plants, electricity go off and I need them. My freezer start thawing or something, I can crank them up. Plus that one power plant I bought, that last one, it runs off of propane or gasoline. And that's why I had my propane tank top back off. You want to keep you some gasoline on hand, because you never know. And that right there is one of the biggest backup plans we have, is that RV there. When I go off working, that's what I stay in, because I ain't staying in no motel room. But if things got too bad to stay in our house, that travel trailer there's got propane water heater, propane stove, propane heat. And I can hook it up to that propane tank. I got some bigger tanks instead of them little 5-gallon ones. We'll come right out there and we'll live in that if we need to for a few days. That way we won't have to heat as much area with our propane we have on hand. I was speaking with you earlier about making sure your vehicles is topped off with fuel. If you do get iced in at your house and you ain't going nowhere for a few days, about every 2 days you need to go out there and crank them vehicles and let them idle a little while, because that cold weather is one of the biggest killers for a battery. You can have your vehicle say, 2 days, it ain't been but 2 days. Buddy, you start getting down in the teens, you can go out there 2 days, sometimes that just zaps your battery. So about every other day I go crank my vehicles and let them sit there and idle. Like I say, you never know when something happens. May have to try to get to the hospital or something other. Try to keep them cranked and running. If you got any kind of animals, like I was showing you outside a while ago with my chickens. Speaking of that, it just reminded myself I need to go put a bigger heat bulb in there for my chickens. Take care of your animals. Our dog, I put a heat lamp in his little house. And chickens, you see I got the heat lamp and put up some more wind blocks so they can get up in there and on their roost. There ain't no wind gonna be blowing on them or no moisture. And chickens and rabbits, I mean, as long as you keep them dry, as long as they can stay dry and you block that wind off of them, God created them, they can handle cold weather. But it ain't no sense in having them miserable. I wouldn't want to be miserable. I take care of my dog, take care of my chickens. Chickens take care of me by giving me them eggs. And another thing I do when it's wintertime like this, my chickens, they eat all they want. Keep a feeder in there full of laying pellets. But when it starts getting cold weather like this, and I see it coming, I'll start feeding them more scraps or corn or other kinds of grain. I start giving them treats in the morning and treats in the evening. Them help build them up some body fat, help them stay warm through the winter months. And then after that, I'll cut that back down and just let them have their laying pellets. Well guys, I want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope I said something or gave some tips out there to help someone out. If you like this video, give me a little thumbs up, subscribe and follow along, and I promise you somewhere throughout these videos you'll see something that can help you out. God bless. Have a great day.